I love how Dana just keeps going to all the beaches of the world. It's like it's a
Oh gosh, he moves locations pretty quick.
Robert, real quick, Zerlene was on YouTube yesterday and she was watching one of her favorite things and she's like, hey, that's Robert Hollis. There he is. Pretty
nice to
cool, huh?
meet you. Nice to meet you.
I hear my
Hi.
mom. I hear my mom talking about you every single day. Say,
I'm
Robert Hollis did this. Robert Hollis is so awesome.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't talk about you more than I talk about daddy, so we're good.
Oh, okay, okay.
There we go. This is your future right here. This is
Yeah,
this
it's so nice
is
to meet you.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, Z. Okay, let's go ahead and get this party started.
All right.
Welcome, 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 everybody. Happy Thursday for those of you that are keeping track of the days, April 20th. We are on day 10 of Mastering the Science of Getting Rich. And it is kind of going to be, well, let me put it to you this way. This is technically in the chapters of the book Science of Getting Rich, the second part of the will. And it's called Further Use of the Will. It's chapter 10. But given how we shared yesterday and what the chapter said, I'm sure that today is going to definitely further what we were talking about yesterday, which includes the chapter of today, which is still talking about the will, which we will talk about as soon as Robert has shared with us the reading of this chapter. And I hope you're ready. Please take notes. You know, everything about this book is done on purpose. And I love how everything is logical, it makes sense, and it is straight to the point. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Again, thank you for joining us. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share this with everybody you know on your socials. And we appreciate you for joining us. So, without further ado, let us welcome the gentleman who is our master as we go through mastering the science of getting rich. Robert Hollis!
Mr. Jackman, thank you so much. And I love and appreciate you. I say this all the time. It's so humbling to have the number one MC in the world introducing me on these and incredible wisdom here, these mastery of the science of getting rich. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this chapter. And if everyone's muted, please stay muted. And here we go.
Chapter 10, Further Use of the Will. You cannot retain a true and clear vision of
Are we
wealth.
going to watch at the same time, Robert?
Turning your attention to opposing pictures, whether they...
Here's your sign. I don't know. Someone disabled me from participating in my stream.
Oh, well, then I think that someone needs to make you a co-host. Why he didn't make you a co-host, I am not sure.
That was a universe working in my favor to blame somebody else for my mistake. That was
Well, hey, and I that was mine. That's on me. So
but I should have known that before I shared it.
all right. As Matthew likes to say, and as the directors like to say, take two.
Take two. Here we go.
Chapter 10, Further Use of the Will. You cannot retain a true and clear vision of wealth if you are constantly turning your attention to opposing pictures, whether they be external or imagery. Do not tell of your past troubles of a financial nature. If you have had them, do not think of them at all. Do not tell of the poverty of your parents or the hardships of your early life. To do any of these things is to mentally class yourself with the poor for the time being, and it will certainly check the movement of things in your direction. Let the dead bury their dead, as Jesus said. Put poverty and all things that pertain to poverty completely behind you. You have accepted a certain theory of the universe as being correct and are resting all your hopes of happiness on its being correct. And what can you gain by giving heed to conflicting theories? Do not read religious books which tell you that the world is coming to an end, and do not read the writing of muckrakers and pessimistic philosophers who tell you that it is going to the devil. The world is not going to the devil, it is going to God. It is wonderful becoming. True, there may be a good many things in existing conditions which are disagreeable, but what is the use of studying them when they are certainly passing away, and when the study of them only tends to check their passing and keep them with us? Why give time and attention to things which are being removed by evolutionary growth, when you can hasten their removal only by promoting the evolutionary growth as far as your part of it goes? No matter how horrible in seeming may be the conditions in certain countries, sections, or places, you waste your time and destroy your own chances by considering them. You should interest yourself in the world's becoming rich. Think of the riches the world is coming into instead of the poverty it is growing out of, and bear in mind that the only way in which you can assist the world in growing rich is by growing rich yourself through the creative method, not the competitive one. Give your attention wholly to riches, ignore poverty. Whenever you think or speak of those who are poor, think and speak of them as those who are becoming rich, as those who are to be congratulated rather than pitied. Then they and others will catch the inspiration and begin to search for the way out. Because I say that you are to give your whole time and mind and thought to riches, it does not follow that you are to be sordid or mean. To become really rich is the noblest aim you can have in life, for it includes everything else. On the competitive plane, the struggle to get rich is a godless scramble for power over other men. But when we come into the creative mind, all this is changed. All that is possible in the way of greatness and soul unfoldment, of service and lofty endeavor, comes by way of getting rich. All is made possible by the use of things. If you lack for physical health, you will find that the attainment of it is conditional on your getting rich. Only those who are emancipated from financial worry and who have the means to live a carefree existence and follow hygienic practices can have and retain health. Moral and spiritual greatness is possible only to those who are above the competitive battle for existence, and only those who are becoming rich on the plane of creative thought are free from the degrading influences of competition. If your heart is set on domestic happiness, remember that love flourishes best where there is refinement, a high level of thought, and freedom from corrupting influences. And these are to be found only where riches are attained by the exercise of creative thought, without strife or rivalry. You can aim at nothing so great or noble, I repeat, as to become rich, and you must fix your attention upon your mental picture of riches, to the exclusion of all that may tend to dim or obscure the vision. You must learn to see the underlying truth in all things. You must see beneath all seemingly wrong conditions the great one life ever moving forward toward fuller expression and more complete happiness. It is the truth that there is no such thing as poverty, that there is only wealth. Some people remain in poverty because they are ignorant of the fact that there is wealth for them, and these can best be taught by showing them the way to affluence in your own person and practice. Others are poor because, while they feel that there is a way out, they are too intellectually indolent to put forth the mental effort necessary to find that way and travel it. And for these, the very best thing you can do is to arouse their desire by showing them the happiness that comes from being rightly rich. Others still are poor because while they have some notion of science, they have become so swamped and lost in the maze of metaphysical and occult theories that they do not know which road to take. They try a mixture of many systems and fail in all. For these, again, the very best thing to do is to show the right way in your own person and practice. An ounce of doing things is worth a pound of theorizing. The very best you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. You can serve God and man in no more effective way than by getting rich. That is, if you get rich by the creative method and not by the competitive one. Another thing, we assert that this book gives in detail the principles of the science of getting rich. And if that is true, you do not need to read any other book upon the subject. This may sound narrow and egotistical, but consider, there is no more scientific method of computation in mathematics than by addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. No other method is possible. There can be but one shortest distance between 2 points. There is only one way to think scientifically, and that is to think in the way that leads by the most direct and simple route to the goal. No man has yet formulated a briefer or less complex system than the one set forth herein. It has been stripped of all non-essentials. When you commence on this, lay all others aside. Put them out of your mind altogether. Read this book every day. Keep it with you. Commit it to memory, and do not think about other systems and theories. If you do, you will begin to have doubts and to be uncertain and wavering in your thoughts, and then you will begin to make failures. After you have made good and become rich, you may study other systems as much as you please, but until you are quite sure that you have gained what you want, do not read anything on this line but this book, unless it be the authors mentioned in the preface. And read only the most optimistic comments on the world's news, those in harmony with your picture. Also, postpone your investigations into the occult. Do not dabble in theosophy, spiritualism, or kindred studies. It is very likely that the dead still live and are near, but if they are, let them alone. Mind your own business. Wherever the spirits of the dead may be, they have their own work to do and their own problems to solve, and we have no right to interfere with them. We cannot help them, and it is very doubtful whether they can help us, or whether we have any right to trespass upon their time if they can. Let the dead and the hereafter alone, and solve your own problem. Get rich. If you begin to mix with the occult, you will start mental cross currents which will surely bring your hopes to shipwreck. Now this and the preceding chapters have brought us to the following statement of basic facts. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and, by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. In order to do this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants, and hold this picture in his thoughts with the fixed purpose to get what he wants, and the unwavering faith that he does get what he wants, closing his mind against all that may tend to shake his purpose, dim his vision, or quench his faith. And, in addition to all this, we shall now see that he must live and act in a certain way.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, when I first started putting out the audio of this chapter, there was thoughts in my mind that I should let somebody else not only do the sound and stuff, And so from the time that I first started giving away the audio, there would be, and I'm not exaggerating, this will sound sad. I would probably say maybe 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 that would reach out to me and go, hey, you know, the audios don't match the book. That's sad when you guys realize that I've been giving this out since I found it. To everyone that I know, I'm constantly teaching it. And so no one ever listened to the audios that I used to have and go, wait a minute, that's the wrong chapter. It's missing something. Now, without knowing all the facts of why the person that did the audio did not really do this audio or this chapter service, is because the people that were promoting it, Rhonda Byrne and Dennis Waitley, have their own books. So to tell everybody, hey, study this and get rich, then learn from others, when on their page is a copy of their book. So it's funny that I didn't know, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'd rather listen to it than read it. And every once in a while I would do this reading thing. And so here's some thoughts that I have about this chapter. When I first realized I went this chapter more in the last month than any other chapter. And the reason why is when I first heard of Bob Proctor does the thing where he says, I met this guy. He told me to read this book, and I read the book, and then I became a multimillionaire. But everyone would ask him how he became a multimillionaire, and he didn't know. So that's why he sold his business and went to work for Napoleon Hill and Nightingale and Conant, Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant, because he wanted to know how he became rich so he could teach other people. Isn't that interesting? And so I remember him standing in front of the room and he goes, there's not a day I don't read this book. And I went, well, good for you. That's awesome. After going through this chapter many times, I'd probably say 10, it was the very first time that I heard it say that you should read this every day. Studying this book. And it was the first time reading it with you guys, listening it to you guys, that I heard the word that you should read it every day. So that will become one of my new practices. Just, hey, okay, can I be doing better? Yeah. Am I going to do better? Yeah. Can I impact more people? Yeah. So there it is. So just some highlights here. Do any one of you know anyone? I know not you guys do it. The people that are watching this live or recorded. But do you know anyone that loves telling you how awful their life is now or where it was in the past before they get going? There's this old, I don't even know where it came from. But there's a group of people that when they first meet you, they feel like they can't even listen to you until, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, and it's like, what? Wow. Where in the mentality of people do they feel like they got to tell you that? And it's been sort of a funny thing with me, you guys, because people will reach out to me, and that's where this book really came from. Is people would go, well, listen, before we get started, I want you to give me some personal coaching. And before I get started, let me tell you what I'm currently doing and who I am and what I've been up to. And I would say, can I ask a question before you start? And they go, sure. And I'd say, so how's that working? Well, it's not. Then why you want to share with me? Why don't you just figure out what I'm doing? So I think Dana would get a little bit of a laugh from this, because engineers are not interested in hearing how somebody else tried to figure out the problem. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish? We'd like the car to go around the track faster. Okay, great. Let me get started on that. It's like, give me a problem. I'll go work out the solution. I don't need to know what you've already done. I don't need it to sort of mess up my thoughts or get me to go down the wrong path. Are you guys following me? And so I really love this, is I've never heard this phrase before. You guys bring this out of me in these classes, and I appreciate and love you guys so much, because again, we're two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst. And I've never heard the line, and it's all by itself in this chapter, a wonderful becoming. Did you guys see that in the middle of the chapter? It's like, don't talk about the past. Don't listen to anybody else tell you how bad things are. It's a wonderful becoming. Wow. A wonderful becoming. It's like, that sounds like a book or something. You know what I mean? Wonderful becoming. Another thing about opening up your mind, right? How many of you are sick and tired of hearing that the rich get richer? If that's true, then abundance is working. How much of a better documentation could you have that more is being created and more abundance is happening? See, there's not $50 trillion and it moves around from the poor to the rich. Are you guys following me? So Elon Musk was worth more this year than the year before, and he was worth more that year than the year before. But the same with the other guys that are in fortune. Yeah, some go up and down, but the accumulation of wealth and riches is growing. And that's in the midst of us not knowing what's coming next. So you keep getting these people that go, well, you know, we pretty much have done everything that we can really feel we can do, until someone came up with a computer. And then it started filling rooms. And then I remember getting involved in this industry 36 years ago, that we went to this place and it was like a giant warehouse that had an artificial floor in it. And it was air conditioned. And it had these computers that had these tapes, these magnetic tapes moving on them. That's what printed my printout back then. So you got these massive computers and everybody's like, all right, so how is computers going to change our life? And now you're holding one of the most powerful computers in the world in the palm of your hand. That's wild, right? And they keep getting gooder and gooder. So in the midst of this, then, well, I guess computers are pretty much it. Now we got the internet. What the hell is the internet? Can you imagine all the computers in the world being connected together? What? And yeah, you can access it. It wasn't until later where someone got smart enough that they could send an email, and that's bits, you know, zeros and one bits. And they were like, well, maybe what if we could send like 1,000 bits over the internet? Shut up. What if we could send like 10,000 bits over the internet? You guys know that the United States is one of the countries in the world that has the slowest internet? Let that mess with your mind. Do you guys know that 50% of the people in the United States still does not have high-speed internet? And people are like, I think the opportunity's gone. It's like, no. Did anyone ever think that it would be possible? Me trying to upload a 10-minute video that took 3 days. And it's going, ding, 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 ding. You know, you got mail. You know, it's like used to take 3 days to upload a video for 10 minutes. I never thought that I would see the day where we're streaming 3K, 4K, whatever it is. Matt knows it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. In the midst of all this, now there's chips in everything, computers and everything, and then AI comes out. Why do you believe that our awareness and our consciousness keeps getting reset? You know what I mean? Because they said that as soon as the computers came out, that no one could afford them. So that it's not fair because not everyone can have a personal computer. Now, those people are wrong. And now how Facebook and Elon Musk and the rest of the world, their goal right now is to put up free internet service for everyone. That's how they're going to get more customers. Do you guys know that Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg look at the world and go, you know, I only got 2 billion people on my network. There's another, I got to get internet to the other 5 billion people. They keep making a larger audience for us to get to. Now, I know that chapter was monopolized, but I know that your will can be part of your belief. See, if you believe that there's nothing out there stopping you and that there's plenty for all, you can use that will to be able to be consistent, knowing that 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, you're definitely going to be in a better place. Right? So when we say the rich keep getting richer, and again, I'm using Dana again, engineers think this way. If there's other engineers on here, let me know. But my immediate thought when I first knew that there were wealthy people on the planet, when I first got that, I went, well, why can't I just do what they're doing? If they're in the top 5% in the world, then I need to figure out what they're doing to get in the top 10%. There's this thing that engineers do called reverse engineering. And what we do is we find something that works and we reverse engineer it, and then we figure out how to make it better, and then we re-engineer. Oh, Steve Jobs calls that innovation. That's how you become a $1 trillion company. We should invent something. No, let's just make the MP3 player easier and funner to use. And then he creates the iPod, and Microsoft comes out with the MP3 player. And everybody went, who cares? You innovate, right? The other part I wanted to cover here, which I thought was really powerful, is I don't know how many times people need to read something and understand that it says in black and white in letters in this chapter that studying from multiple things will destroy you. Having multiple ways to do things, because this person said they knew what they were doing, and this person said what they knew what they're doing, and this person, I still don't understand. And this is going to be rude. I still don't understand people promoting something that they believe will get people rich, but they're not doing it. That is the weirdest crap I have ever seen in my frickin' life. Now, I get a point if you were hurt. You know, say that you were really good at basketball and now eventually you get old or you get hurt. I can understand why Phil Jackson retired and then started being a coach and won more world championship rings than almost everyone. I get it. But if he knew he could play the game, he would be playing the game. You see what I mean? So when I see other people teaching stuff, the other thing that I would love you to think about is just be honest enough with yourself when someone says, oh my God, did you guys hear? Matthew McConaughey hooked up with Tony Robbins and this Dean guy. And on the 24th at 10 o'clock Pacific time, he's going to be doing a live seminar. You know what I mean? Are you guys ready? I'm looking so forward to learning how to be an actor. No. Wait, Robert, come on. Be nice. Tony Robbins is on there. I'm looking forward to being a seminar speaker, making all my money from seminars. Would you guys please just think a little bit when you're following another person and you're listening to what they're doing? Where do they make their money? Just ask yourself that question. Because it's easy to figure out because they're usually charging money for it. See? It's like, I'm going to teach you. And it's funny. Do you guys realize too how fast these guys can go and girls become an expert? AI was just launched. I got a course on how to use AI for you to be a millionaire. I'm going like, wow, that was quick. That was really, really quick. And when TikTok, anything social media come out, man, these people can make money off selling courses. Make money off subscriptions, right? But just very simply ask yourself the simple things in life, right? If you were going to teach somebody to drive, and for this example, you know how to drive. You got a driver's license. And someone reaches out to you and says, Jerome, can you teach me how to drive? There should be just a couple of thoughts in your mind. Do I feel comfortable with that? Maybe I should talk to your parents. Maybe I should get some, releases signed. How many different ways is there to teach someone to drive? Think about that. So me being a mechanic, it's like if someone said, I got a new and faster way for you to do a brake job. You do not. There's a certain way. There's a sequence and way you do that job properly and safely. I got a new way to be able to overhaul an engine or a transmission or a differential. No, you do not. It's like the things are put together to be taken apart in order and be put back together in order. Are you guys hearing me? So when people out there don't have the right order, no wonder they fail. No wonder it's difficult. So, yeah. I like the other one in there. I'm using Robert Hollis's word. Talking about the dead. I'm like, I can't get everything right. But it says, listen, don't spend any time talking about the dead. Mind your own business. You don't need to be helping out the dead. I'm going like, all right, I got that. I'll stay out of that. You know what I mean? But how many of us get unfocused because we're in other people's business? So I just wrote down here, mind your own business. Including, what do they think about you? What does other people think about you? It's none of your business. How about the other 8 or 9 voices in my head? Yeah, it's none of their business either. See what I mean? So we all got these different voices talking to us. Listen to the one that makes you feel the best. Huh? People go, I don't know what voice to listen to. Listen to the one that makes you feel good. That's pretty damn simple, isn't it? The other ones want you mad at everything. The other ones want you competitive. The other ones want you judging. The other ones are telling you can't. Maybe that's the dead. Wow. And I did have one other note here. I brought it up yesterday, but if people realize how much the word rich or money is written 800 times in the Bible. So I know some people read the beginning of this chapter and it says, don't listen to any other book that has to do with the world ending. And someone could say, well, that sounds like Revelations to me. Don't forget, 800 times it talks about rich and money. So when a book tells you that the best thing that you could do with your life is to become rich, to give the money to the kingdom and take care of others, including animals, including plants, everything. You want to make a difference. You want to make an impact. Get money out of the way. Make money not the issue in your life anymore, and watch how creative you be. They say money doesn't buy happiness, neither does poverty. But I love this next statement. If you could just get despair out of your life, if you could just not have the thought of money every day, and what do I got to pay? You think you're creative now? It's just not freedom of your physical body. It's freedom of your soul. It's freedom of your spirit. It's freedom of your creativity. To think that you haven't seen your best days yet. Isn't that crazy? That's a wonderful becoming. Each and every one of you is a wonderful becoming. And you haven't had your best days yet. So, Craig.
Wow. Some great thoughts, Robert. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I also, I didn't realize that chapter 10 was as edited as it was, because there is so much in this. And I even, like the first part of the opening is, you cannot retain a true and clear vision of wealth if you are constantly turning your attention to opposing pictures, whether they be external or imaginary. The whole idea, like the statement that you just shared about, money doesn't buy happiness, but neither does poverty. So you give your attention wholly to riches. Ignore poverty. That's not to say to ignore those that are impoverished. That's why you help them understand the science of getting rich. And it's that glass full, glass half full, glass half empty thing.
How many people are familiar with the verse, you'll know my people by their fruit? We hear the other words, success leaves clues. My favorite. Documentation beats conversation. You know what I mean? It's like, don't we all want to inspire the people that are closest to us by our example? That's how you inspire your children. That's how you inspire your siblings. The people that you worship with is prove to them that the scriptures are true. Hey, it says right here. You know what I mean? So, Craig, sorry for interruption.
No, that's fine. Because actually it kind of leads into my next part that I was going to share is, you can aim at nothing so great or noble as to become rich. Those are the words right here in the chapter. What does God or the supreme being that you believe in want you to do, want you to be? Fulfilled. Fulfillment is, not necessarily money rich, but it is being rich.
Yeah.
And that is, so inherent in this chapter, and to show others how it works, because you showing others how it works, how they can be better themselves, is so much better. Give a fish, feed a man for a day. Teach them to fish. They know how to live for a life.
And they can also teach that skill.
Exactly. and you'd share with us, okay, you are teaching us to fish so that we can teach ourselves how to fish and others to fish in similar ways when it comes to being better. And the other thing that came up too is, as we've talked over the last couple of days, and what even Dr. Dana said yesterday, talk about a compacted section with loads of information where you have other books that are this thick with information about one little paragraph in the science of getting rich.
I know. Bob Proctor made his entire career off using the title of chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy that, hey, I'm just going to take this first chapter and write a book about it. And he's the best known author because he wrote a chapter on a book about one chapter. It's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, this book needs to be, whether it's electronically or physically, it needs to be part of your collection. Everybody should read this. And again, I know I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. This should be taught in school as part of like an economics course, or even if it's considered an elective in, in college or even in high school. Can you imagine if this was taught? How much more people would be open-minded, would be better, get off the competitive plane to the creative plane, and we would be able to build and do more? Well, at least we're doing it here.
Very good. Thank you, Craig. Give Craig a hand. Woohoo!
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so as a reminder for those watching on Facebook, please like this, please share this video, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. We're going to go ahead and open up for shares here in the Zoom, and if you have a share, I see already 4 hands are up. Please click on the reactions button below. Put your cursor in the middle of the screen. It'll reveal buttons. There's a button down on the bottom called reactions. Click on that, then click on raise hand. It will let us know that you would like to share, and we will bring you on board to share what you think and what you feel about Mastering the Science of Getting Rich, Chapter 10, Further Use of the Will. And we're going to get started right now. We've got Katie Sanders, Angela Castleman, John Tier, who already have their hands raised. I know Dana will probably have something to share with us later. But first, we're going to kick it off with Bill Shoemaker. Bill, please open up and share.
Thank you, Craig. You're incredible, man. And Robert, thank you for being our teacher. Love you so much.
Honored and blessed.
Wow. Al, thanks for commenting on my live today. I had to do it 3 times. I didn't have my microphone on.
That's how we learn. That's how we learn.
That's how we learn. And it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. So anyway, so what I've come to realize is that through my awareness that I have a lot of voices talking to me all the time about the past, the dead, and thinking about money. You know, rich people don't think about money. Poor people think about money all the time.
Yep. So
anyway, so I just know there's a lot of work to be done, and reading this every day is definitely going to do that for us. And this course is really bringing this all out. It's hard. It's hard work.
Yeah.
but it's worth it. It's worth it. So
true, Bill. One of the things that we realize in doing anything is the whole concept of this is going to take time and that it's hard. You know, so again, a neat paradigm to sort of put in your mind is I'm getting better and better every day in every way. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And, you know, because one of the things that I know about a bunch of people, and Bill, I think you fit in this category, is a lot of people love learning. They're not good at executing, but they're really like learning, right? And so when you think about learning, you wouldn't say that was hard. Learning's not hard. Isn't that funny? Because they say the first day that you fall in love with what you do, you never work another day in your life. So thank you for being aware And now each and every day, I'm going to get better and better in every way. I'm going to grab onto these concepts. I'm going to, keep them in memory. They're going to prompt me. They're going to guide me. They're going to help me. When I start getting off track or getting unfocused, it's going to bring me back to the main star. What Dana said yesterday was so powerful. You know what I mean? Because it's like, when you're in the darkness, look for the light. You know what I mean? It's like it should be a dove factor until it's not a dove factor. You see what I mean? It's like, I didn't realize. Did you notice another sentence that it said in here? And I don't know if it's all by itself. It said, great one life. Great one life. Again, sort of random to be just sitting there. Great one life. That's interesting. I don't know. Something to ponder. So thank you, Bill. I appreciate you. And I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. And I noticed once you get to a certain point, you can't go back.
No. Once the mind expands to a certain place, you can, but it'll torture you. It'll really, really torture you.
It's painful.
And you guys, the whole reason for doing the mastery of the science of getting rich is for you guys to be able to go back to this course over and over and over. And each and every one of you need to be a teacher of the mastery of the science of getting rich. Because the best way to know it is teach it. Because I told you guys, and you'll notice this, if you help people go through every chapter of this book and even promoted this course and watched it with them before you felt like you could do your own, every time you go through it and there's another mind, there's another one in the mist. So like Dana said, when I've done this course before, well, if I did this course 5 years from now, there's going to be different people there with different awarenesses, and it's going to go to a different place. So when you really understand that sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, and when you listen to it, even if you're listening it to record or a recording, is just mentally understand that there's something in it for you every day. Another key, another combination, whatever needs to be done. So Bill, again, I love you being on here, and I love your support, and I appreciate you as a friend. Thank you so much.
Likewise, brother. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Bill. Appreciate that. Katie Sanders, wake up.
Wake up, little Susie. Okay, here we go.
All right. Well, I know you're not an Everly brother or sister, but close enough.
I grew up listening to that music. That was my parents' favorite. Okay. If you begin to mix with the occult, you will start mental cross currents, which will surely bring your hopes to shipwreck. Okay. So this ties in perfectly because maybe you guys can relate, but as you're growing and as we're learning to do everything in a certain way, in a way that serves us and our purpose, you might come across some people who have been like your safety blanket, right? So I probably have about 3 or 4 friends that I've had for 30 plus years.
Right.
And I'm realizing I don't like the person that I turn into when I'm around those people. So, I shared with Robert, it's like I'm mourning the loss of the living, and I'm very protective of my space. And it just breaks my heart that some of my best loves, they're just not with me.
Correct.
But that's okay, because I will love them where they are, and I will bring them to Bora Bora on my private jet for a family vacation. It's not a problem. But I just want to encourage everybody, as you're growing and you find yourself going back to the people that you used to rely on for whatever it was, allow yourself, love yourself enough to distance the people that you need to distance yourself from, because you're worth it. And the people that are going to cross your path in the future deserve the future you that you're working on. So
Very perfectly said.
I appreciate you. And I also had to tell you, Robert, this morning, Sandy and I were working at like 4:30. And I told her, I said, girlfriend, I know you have felt the shift ever since we just have focused on the mastermind of Robert Hollis. We're not plugging into 3 or 4 other people that I can name that their names are irrelevant. But it's just like the mental clarity and the creativity of the space and from the freedom of all the noise.
Yes.
You said that you had like 7 voices in your head. I probably have like 19 on every given day. Spirit.
Don't be in the competitive state.
Exactly. I'm not. They all know.
I have 19.
Yeah, they all know when to go have a seat and when to go mind their own business.
Amen. Amen.
So you guys, we are our tribe now.
Yeah.
And I know that I like Danielle, I reached out to her and a couple of other people. I mean, I know that I can message, and John, I know I can message people and we can have real talk.
Yeah.
So just grow where you're flowing. Don't
Amen.
get sucked in the current of the back stuff. And I'm telling you, like The Science of Getting Rich and the Bible, those are the only 2 books that anybody ever needs.
In my opinion, yeah.
Mine too. So it's personal growth. It's so hard. It's so beautiful. It's so everything.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
I'm cheering for everybody. You guys are all awesome.
Well, I'm cheering for you. And the only thing I have to add to yours is, again, inspiring the people that have always been there for you. See, majority of people don't have the belief or the self-confidence to think that they can do what you're doing. And so there's a lot of people that I felt like, you know, the people that you love the most, you want to save the most. And that makes you a very special human being that wants to bring those people along. And the thing that got Les Brown cancer was, here's a guy that's the most positive guy in the world, and he found himself trying to rescue people that didn't want to participate in their own rescue.
Guilty.
So it's cool to be aware of that. But the one thing that you guys will find is if you focus on getting money out of the way and actually making that word rich, whatever you want it to become. I like working on the art of fulfillment. It's a mastery of everything that is important to you. And so inspiring the people that have been around you forever, they'll want that inspiration. They're cheering for you like you don't know. And they want you to stuff it down everyone's throat, including theirs.
Yeah.
And so trying to get them into a place where they can believe in themselves and doing it. There's so many people, Katie, that are very, very, very close to me. They're in my inner circle without a doubt, and they'll never do this.
Well, and it's not only
They won't even try to master this book. They won't read it. It's just like it used to bother me, and I used to mourn it. And then I just went, wow, I'm just going to be the best person that I can be. And I hope to inspire them. And when I'm around them, I do fall back into being Bobby, because that's the only person they know. They're so fearful of me. And I have gone through that phase, Katie, too, where not only was I mourning them, but we went home for a funeral, and there was all my cousins are, I mean, my mom was 1 of 9, and,
wow.
and all of them felt like they needed to do the same thing. You know what I mean? So I forget when my grandmother died, she had like 76 grandkids. It was just like freaking nuts, right? And definitely geometric progression, you know.
I hope y'all drew names for Christmas.
And one of the things that just blew me away is we're all sitting around, and I was in not a right mindset. And every one of them said, hey, you know, we all should jump in a car and let's go to the state line. And, you know, North Dakota was 21 and Montana was 18. So someone was smart enough to put a bar right on the border out in the middle of nowhere. And so, you know, they were talking about all the bars that we all bar hopped and stuff. And I just looked at all of them, and Terry was right there. And I just looked at him and I said, hey, thanks a lot for inviting me, but I don't know who the hell you people are.
Wow.
And like, the last thing I want to do attending a funeral is go out on the freeways and having someone drive drunk. It's like, what's the reason to go to bar to bar to bar? It's hard for me to believe that we all live.
Right.
And it's like, and then I walked away from that and I just went, that wasn't right.
Well, and just to elaborate real quick, and then I know our other friends want to share too, but I'm not even coming from like a business perspective with them, because I already know that they are just so stuck. So this is just like, you know,
Everything.
you want to catch up. You want to catch up.
Everything.
And then it's like it's the same old,
Conversations, the jokes.
And then what I love the best is you share, they're like, so what's new with you? And you're like, well, I started my business. I'm doing this. Cliff and I almost left my husband in October. Glory to God. He saved our marriage. So I share things about that. And it's just, I get that. Well, that must be nice. So it's just the comments. And I know it's my mindset is growing and it's getting to where it needs to be. Where before I didn't even pick up on the negativity comments like that.
Right.
And I'm like, why did I just spend 32 minutes of my life feeling? So
yeah. And on top of that, it's like, if they start seeing you driving a new car, it's like, well, Katie, you are going to pick up the tab, aren't you? It's like,
must be nice.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
bitch, it is nice.
we're all with
I work
you.
hard.
We're all with you.
All right. I digress.
All right. Love you.
Love you back.
Katie, thank you so much. Great share. And once again, before we continue forward, I just want to remind our YouTube audience that you can like this video, you can subscribe to our channel, and also share this with other people, because this is such great information, and it's just a great, okay, maybe you can call it a book club situation where, you know, we read this chapter by chapter and we talk about it and we share it right here in a public forum, and everybody gets to know how we feel about it. Now you make your interpretation of it. And Robert, bless you, and thank you so much for sharing this with us and opening up this forum for all of us.
The master's mind. The
master's mind, yes. I almost now what you got me thinking is, remember the RCA logo of the dog listening to the old gramophone?
Ah, really good, Craig.
Okay, Robert.
Very good.
All right, moving right along. I see we've got 3 more people with their hands raised, so let's get going. Angela, John, Dana, you guys are coming up. Angela Castleman, you're up first, so please unmute and share.
Thank you so much, Craig. I'm so glad to be back. Speaking about funerals and family, I've been with them for 2 days. And I don't know what happened, but they knocked me out. I literally slept for over 24 hours. So that is why I was not here yesterday. But, and you know, I know why, Robert, they don't want to join, because they don't want to go door to door selling cosmetics.
I don't know if you guys watched the video I did today on what does 420 mean to you, but that video I talk about, people don't even want to acknowledge how many different perceptions of everything there is.
Yeah.
Of everything, you know, so that's so cool.
But yeah, so obviously about talking about death and stuff like that at the funeral, which we talked about today. the most common theme, guess what the most common theme was? I can't afford this. I can't afford to do that. I don't have time to do this. And I was talking to some of my cousins about what we're doing, and, just a little bit. But yesterday was the major the day before. I slept yesterday. The day before was the major conversation with my uncle. And he just kept saying, this needs to change. And I said, yes, we got to increase our wealth so we can change that. Yes, we need to increase our wealth so we can change that. I'm like, I don't know how many times I have to say this, uncle, but we need to increase our wealth so we can do these things. So It was really interesting to hear all that and just take a step back and just listen to everybody. Like these family members we're like the black sheep. We're like the poorest of them. And they're complaining about not having money for anything. Totally. And I'm just like my cousin, she's like, yeah, I want to get a second dog, but we can't afford it. And I'm like, what? You can't? I'm like, okay. I'm like, just like listening and whatever. But yeah. And by the way, Katie, I talk about Robert all the time also. I'm like, yeah, Robert said this yesterday, and Robert's. Yeah.
I have had men that I have met at events, and they've shaken my hand, and I'll never forget this one. It was the funniest because this guy got all of 7 feet and, just solid big guy. And I shook his hand and my hand almost disappeared in his hand. You know what I mean? And he gave me a firm, held onto my hand. He wouldn't let go. I said, hey, how you doing? And he wouldn't let go. And I looked at him in his eyes. And he says, I don't like hearing your name in my bedroom. He's going. And I'm going, man, I'm sorry. Then he started laughing, but he had me, man. It was like, listen, it's okay if my wife's talking about you and the kids are talking about you, but I don't need to hear your name in the bedroom. And I'm just like going, is there something that I don't know? He says, I fall asleep and then I wake up to go to the bathroom and I can hear your voice. And he goes, I look over my wife and she's sleeping too. So now we got Robert Hollis in our head in the middle of the night going. I said, just so you know, all my mentors living and are dead are in my mind every night. And I said, so, hey, I hope some of it sticks.
Yeah.
But thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.
I can say this about Angela and each and every one of you. I don't know if you know this or mind it. And if you do mind it, I'm going to do it anyway. But I pray for each and every one of you by name.
Oh, thank you.
You guys mean a lot to me. And I'm just asking for your path to be guided. And the more you become awake, Angela, the more you realize how much the world is asleep and needs this message. So it's fun because if it does anything for your belief, it does give you answers to everyone's problems.
Yeah.
So when you got people that are whining and complaining about a certain thing, it's sort of neat to know. It's like, hey, I know how to fix that. Would you be open? I'll send the book over. Don't get between the message and the messenger. Go, listen, I don't know if you'd be interested in changing that. Fred Herzog, a dear friend of mine, is no longer with us. And his phrase used to be all the time, are you joking about that? Or are you serious? Excuse me? You're always saying that you can't afford it. Are you joking about that? Or are you serious? Because if you're serious, I can introduce you to something that can change it all. You don't need to be judging it based on me. I know other people that have applied this book and I've learned from them, and their lives are pretty awesome. So I'm learning and I'm on my own journey and my own path. But yeah, I was definitely the black sheep, Angela. Are you? Wow. It's like, So I love you and appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela. John Tier. Okay, come on. Come into the light. Share with us your share.
Hey everybody, how you guys doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored and deeply loved. Thanks for asking.
Man, this, every time you get to a chapter, you think that you like, oh yeah, that was good. Then you go, oh no, that was good. Oh no,
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah. And
It does set you up. It does set you up like a good movie, you know.
Right. Robert, you mentioned about teaching this, and there was a statement I learned when I'm teaching music is that when you teach, you learn twice.
Yes.
And so that is the thing about teaching this. I mean, it'll just, I know that this will just really begin to permeate in your mind and in your spirit. The thing that got me was they try a mixture of many systems and fall in all. For these, again, the very best thing to do is to show the right way to your own person and practice. An ounce of doing things is worth a pound of theorizing. The best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. And it reminded me of a scripture that came to me this morning, and I thought I was going to say it later on, but it was like, be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth.
Yes.
And a lot of people just think that just means, oh, you're going to have a bunch of children. It means so much more than that. Because if you go over to the New Testament, it talks about you will know them by the fruits that they bear.
Right.
And how the fig tree was not doing what it was supposed to do, and it got cursed. It's really interesting that all of us in this particular, we're like being incubated to go out and to bear lots and lots of fruit.
Amen. Absolutely.
And just from reading this book, and sometimes there are certain leaders, they've mentioned this book, but then they go and teach something else. You go, when this really said, don't teach anything else, don't do anything else until you reach this point.
Right.
And it explains a lot when you see people come and go, come and go, come and go, come and go.
Right.
Because they never really have taken the time to master what it means to become rich through the science of getting rich. I told you, Rob, when I first...
John, sorry to interrupt you, but why I think a lot of people don't do like a mastery of the science of getting rich? The reason people don't master this book and teach this book is because you're teaching independence. And to make income from people, you have to have them dependent on you. So when my mentor told me about this book, he would always talk about Think and Grow Rich, and he'd teach a bunch of principles off Think and Grow Rich. And it was because the philosophy of that was there always was another training. You never knew enough. There's always more that you could learn and more that you could master. And that's because the seminars went from $350 to $750 to $850 to $1,000 to $2,500 to $5,000. And so you really, if you watch somebody, are they teaching independence? Or are they teaching you to be dependent on you? So I'm not saying anything negative about Napoleon Hill, but Napoleon Hill has been known as an author. When you sell 100 million copies of your book, that puts you in the top 12.
Right.
So if you look at Napoleon Hill's career, it's not only as an author, but also as a speaker. See, you look at Wallace Wattles, and the guy really didn't make any money. It's like, here's something that I discovered too, John, and you'll love this. Do you know tomorrow or today, later today, that you can reach out to the Think and Grow Rich Foundation and actually get rights and licensings and even certification to be able to go market Think and Grow Rich stuff.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Try to do that with Wallace Waddles. It doesn't exist. That is the wildest thing. I mean, you go try to find audios online and you can hear of other people. Now you go to Amazon and you put in Wallace Waddles and there's like 60 different versions and copies and add-ons. It's like, because his was written in 1910, you know, so all the copyright and stuff like that, it's all free to the world. And it's like, I thought that was neat because when I got into this, it was 2006 when I really dove in because of The Secret and really dove into the book. I knew about the book, but that's when I said, hey, I got to master this. And it blew my mind that you couldn't even find audios online then. So there was this lady named Rebecca Fine, and I mentioned her before, but Rebecca Fine, if you put in The Science of Getting Rich audios, you would find her website, and it was like a 2-page website. And all it said was click on this button and you can get a free PDF copy of this, The Science of Getting Rich. And if you would like the audios, I did the audios, and that's $9. And she would mail you a CD. She made millions of dollars off recording the audios and offering them to people at $9 a shot.
Wow.
So that's another success story to tell about that. But John, you're just so on the money, man. You really, really are.
And I mean, I was going to say, you know, when I first met you, Robert, I had never even heard of you, and which is really interesting to me. We had flown in some really similar circles because I had been in Noni as well, you know, and it was really interesting. And I came from Amway going to Noni, you know, and then over into Monterey. So our you know, we're kind of doing these kind of trajectories.
We were waving at each other, just
right. But what kind of got me was the gentleman who brought me in here. He since left. He said he had known about you for years, and I was thinking to myself, well, why come you never told me about him? If you had known about him for years, but he probably understood my personality was that once I understood who you were, you know, because even when the time you came and you did that thing for us, you know, I still didn't know who you were because he didn't properly introduce you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he did not properly introduce you because when I went and looked at your website, Documentation Beats Conversation, I say, he didn't say anything about this stuff. You know, he didn't say anything about 758,000 people. I was like, I don't know anybody who's ever done that. I think I want to listen to this guy. And I had told you, I let everything go. Everything that I was doing, I let it go. Because my thing is that if this guy is as successful as he's, I want to know what he's doing, you know, because I have a heart to want to be successful. So I want to know everything that he's doing. And so I was like, I'm just going to plug in. Now, it was a struggle because I had the old programming, you know, and the old programming wanted me to snap back and say, well, you could go run advertisement, you can do videos, there were all kinds of things that were going on in my head. And I had to fight that for quite a while, you know, until I finally had to tell my brain, be quiet. Let's see what's going on here. Let's do everything he says. Because whenever I would do something and it wasn't going the way I thought, I would say, have you done everything he says? I'm like, well, not really, not really. And I'm brutally honest with myself. And so I said, you got to get to the point where you are just focused. And I love the fact that when you came back with the Science of Getting Rich and giving that away, because I think when I first met, you were kind of at the tail end of that, and I didn't understand how it worked. And so to bring it back, it's very, very fulfilling to be able to give this away. I think I did like 18 today. I gave away like 18.
This is the way I sow seed into good soil, man.
Yes. And that's the way I think about it. I'm just sowing seeds. And one other thing, that's what I wanted to say, and I'm out of here. For a very long time, anybody who's been in this industry has heard Zig Ziglar say, if you help enough other people get what they want, you get what you want. Now, my mind told me that that meant, well, you help other people get money and then you get money. And
Wow.
and that's the way that it's kind of almost, perpetuated in the industry. But when you talked about cause marketing, maybe that's what Zig was eliminating towards.
Totally.
If you help
ask them
other
questions.
people, if you serve other people who cannot give back to you, then you get what you want. And that was a paradigm shift for me to where I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, this is what cause marketing is about. Because it goes along with what the Bible says. It's easy to help people who have stuff already. Why don't you help people who don't have stuff?
Well,
Those who
John,
can't repay you.
Yeah, we all hear the word for the lack of vision, people perish.
Right.
And when you ask people what they want, your job, your goal is to really get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in my discussion. I've gotten so many messages because, I took you to saying, hey, I like I said, maybe I want to make 100,000 or I want to, just be able to, do something else. And then you take it to the next step. Okay, so what would you do with that? And then the next step, then the next step. And if you can listen and ask questions, you're going to expose the person to a dream that they know that they had and they'd left. All you're doing is waking up that thing in them that is a thing called desire. People don't know what desire is until you have desire. You know what I mean? And a lot of people always sometimes, talk about that in a sexual connotation, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But desire is desire.
True. Yeah.
And when it's something like the strangest secret where I know this might be a bad word. I'm addicted. I'm obsessed. I can't stop thinking about this. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, everything has really, really shifted for me with this book, especially in the area of gratitude. For the last 2 days in particular, my morning prayer has been, thank you for the things that I'm receiving. Thank you. My mind has been, it's already here. So I'm thanking you in advance for the things that I want. And it's so different because after I go through all those thank yous, I'm jumping up like, I'm like this, I'm 10,
Yeah.
Because everything is not about, Lord, please bless me. It's the mindset is, Lord, you've already blessed me. And I'm thanking you for already have blessing me.
And if you guys look at your biggest blessings, if you can just say, we won't, I don't think we'll talk about it in this series, but people say to me, Robert, how do you get your A game going? And I really ask them to take the time to really stop and think about the things that they accomplished. When I've done this with Lisa Marie in the past and other trainings, I got her to go all the way back. And this lady was an amazing softball player. I mean, not sort of good, super good. And so when I got her to go back to those moments in her life, I mean, she was like glowing, just total glow. And I'm going, that Lisa Marie is still there. You know what I mean? It's like, the world and people around us has tried to beat that out of you. But, so if you can go back to even the little things, like you might not like your home. You might not like your car. You might not like your job. You might not like your relationships. Go back to where you created them. Because when you got that job, you were jacked out of your mind. When you got that car, you were jacked out of your mind. When you got that, spouse or child, you were jacked out of your mind. And then you allowed the world to beat it away.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? It's like, man, I remember when I moved into this house. It's like, my God, it was like a miracle. I actually said to myself, there's no way that I could get a piece of property like this. And then God moved the universe around and basically allowed people to get first and second loans on stated income. Now, I know it didn't work out for 90% of the people or the banks or the economy, but it sure in the hell worked out for me.
Yes. Yep.
The guy was sitting across from me, John, and he said, well, how much do you make? And I think I said like 280,000 or something like that. And he said 320,000. And he smiled. And I said, yeah. He goes, that'll work. And I'm going like, still to this day, how many people they hurt. But out of all the people, the banks failing, the economy having a trouble, all of that, I was blessed out of that.
Yeah.
I got a 10.3% loan that was adjustable. Couldn't been the worst loan in the world.
Right.
I was making enough cash flow to refinance it. And then I refinanced it to 2.3 and I'm fine.
See? Right.
See what I mean? It's like
cash is king.
Like, so look at the blessings. Go back like you said, John. And when you're like, I mean, if you're thinking God and thinking, I even say this statement, John, it might help you. I go, I want to thank the universe that God created.
Yes.
I want to think, all the things that God created that are there for me. Because some people go, I don't know if I can say this source thing or this God thing. Well, if you believe in God, just say, God, thank you for creating all the things that are here for me, including your son.
Yes.
See what I mean? It's like,
yes.
You created me, you created your son. Hey, thank you for creating more stuff for me. So,
it's the thing that actually helps keep things, from really bogging in my mind is I say, well, you know what? You have to understand that my father is the one who spoke the world into existence, who spoke the universe into existence. So he can handle this little thing.
Yeah.
That's how I keep it in perspective.
Isn't it Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, that said, the power that's helping me is the power that created the world.
Right.
That's
right.
Like, dang.
Yeah. Yep.
John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love and appreciate you so much. I want to share one quick thing with you guys, if you guys don't mind. And even if you do, no, I'm kidding. That was funny.
Well, while you're doing that, I just wanted to throw in there, just so that we're still with John a little bit. What does Bob Proctor like to say when he's grateful of things? I'm so happy and grateful that.
Okay, so this is a guy, Matt Hall is his name. And if I went all the way back, you guys remember that t-shirt, I'm that guy? Okay, so I inspired this guy. He's new to network marketing, and you can see that's 2017, right? And so just little things that we went back and forth with. I bought the shirt. I promoted the shirt. That's when we were doing six-figure marketer. Sent him a copy of my book. This is me figuring out my way, right? And here's me wishing him, a happy birthday. Him wishing me happy birthday. So again, remember people saying that this was 2017, right? Look at what I got yesterday. Robert, wanted to thank you for all the content you keep putting out there. Been silent follower for a long time, and your style has always inspired me. We hit our new team record of 19,000 signups and over 9 million in volume last month. And I'm just filled with so much gratitude. This guy says that he'll make over $1 million this year. He'll be number 67, and he's in a competitive network marketing company. I don't mind saying what it is, doTERRA. And the thing that he said that blew me away is he said in here, I think he shows a screen flow. Maybe it's this one. Let's see if you guys can hear this.
If you ever need a rocking testimonial, let me know. man, it's interesting how big of an impact people can have on your business without even knowing, you know what I mean? So you're one of those people for me. But yeah, if you ever need a great testimonial, our story is not one you'll ever tell to recruit someone into network marketing. It's the story you tell to keep people in. So we spent our first 10 months working really hard as college students. Started at 22 years old. Now we're 33, I guess now. But worked really hard for 10 months and didn't get past that basic rank, of 3,000 in volume. Even going and moving, spending 6 months working full time. We went to Hong Kong because we always wanted to have an international business. I ended up busking and playing guitar on the streets just to get by and have food on the table, for our dinners. And then later, had a breakthrough, but spent 4 years plateaued at about, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month before we finally were able to break through, and 5.5 years hit a 6-figure income. So like I said, not the story you tell to recruit someone into the business, right? But now 10 years later, we have over 180 6-figure income earners on our team right now, or people who have hit that diamond rank, and are on track to make $1 million this year, which is awesome. So yeah, super grateful again for your impact. Sorry for the long audio. Wish you all the success in the world, and just wanted to say thank you.
That's if you keep your nose to the grindstone, if you continue to give and continue to give. He went on into another audio of saying, I asked him, how long he has been there. Of course, I met this kid 10 years ago. And he said, what's really amazing? He said, my group is the only group that's growing in the company. So he said, while my income's going up, other people have been struggling since the pandemic. And he said, immediately when the company started struggling, I reached out and watched what you're doing. And you said on a video, if I can watch Al Roker doing the weather in his backyard on Zoom, if this will work for billion-dollar companies, this will work for ours. And he said, so I switched everything to Zoom and just left everybody in the dust. 9 million in 1 month. It's like, so do you think that he left me that message to try to recruit me? No. So you don't know the people that you're feeding into. You don't know the people that are watching. Matt shared this statement with me that 40% of the people that watch our videos on YouTube are not subscribed. They're not on here. There's only 21 of us. So thank you for all of you being a part of this movement, right? You gotta believe that you're part of this movement so that you can reap the riches like the rest of us. All right, let's hear from Dr. Dana.
Okay, and just wanted to say Melody Ryba calls it, and I love how she says this, Robert, the Hollis Ripple.
Melody is so awesome, man. She's so awesome. She called Terry to wish her happy birthday today. So Melody is definitely a family friend for sure.
Yes. All right, Dana, go ahead, please. Open up this, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dr. Dana time. So Dana, please share with us, and thank you so much.
Well, you betcha. There's a lot said in this session today, and I don't know that I can add a whole lot more than what's been said. It's just powerful. But I do want to share a couple of things that are, I call them demystifiers. When he refers to the statement by Jesus, let the dead bury the dead, very oftentimes people get in their mind naturally that means people, dead people. What he's really referring to, if you go through all the threads and you just link one verse to another and you just keep going back and forth, it's their thoughts. The experiences from the past, the thoughts that you hold, the thoughts that you bear, the grudges, the anxieties, all that kind of stuff. It's dead. It's in the past. Bury it. Let it go. It's not just the people that you're referring to, the people you associate with. It's all the things that are, staking real estate in your head that aren't growing your orchard. It's rotting. It's rotting the fig tree in your mind.
Wow.
Knowing that, the other element of scripture that you can get into, I'm not a preacher or anything, but I look at the Bible as a guidebook for living, right? One of the core messages it's taught over and over again, but oftentimes is not emphasized because of all the things that you're not supposed to do, right? It teaches you to be in a state of mind of joy. You're mandated. And so all of the commandments and the thou shalt do's are really aimed at giving you a state of mind of freedom and a state of mind of happiness and stability so that you can move forward in life and set an example and be fruitful. So I just wanted to share that particular part of the philosophy because Waddles in his time was heavily influenced. And like I shared initially, he was an authority in the Methodist Church in wherever he was. I think he was an elder. He might have been a preacher, but for having taught this, he was kind of put on a rail and run out of there.
Exiled.
Yeah, he was kind of exiled from that whole thing. But the idea there was bury the dead and let it go. All right. Thoughts, fears, anxieties. Now, one other thing that I would share there is going back to what I kind of shared earlier on about the universe is about states. It's not about time. There are states of being, states of possibilities. Now, you can influence your future by rewriting the past. Now, that may sound like a contradiction to what I just said, but here it is, in my opinion. This is just me speaking. When you have experiences and lessons from the past that were perhaps looked at as this was done to me, you can rewrite that to this was done for me. You've heard that, right? I mean, in the personal development space, they say, well, don't look at it as this is what happened to me. This is what happened for me. Well, that's rewriting the past. And when you rewrite the past in that way, it influences the energy that you send out to the big you. And that influences the possibilities and therefore the probabilities of you achieving what it is you desire. Because when you go and you suck away energy living in the past, it delays in this earth system, it delays the attainment of that which you desire, or it changes the processes that are trying to deliver it to you. You interrupt it. It's kind of like bad weather in your UPS shipments, right?
Yeah.
So that's just a little deep philosophy that I wanted to lob in there on that.
Demystify. I like that word.
Yeah. I hope that demystified it. I don't know. It might have mystified it.
No. Dana, again, I just love your wisdom and I love your perception of what we're talking about here. You and Max Miller are the most well-read people I know. And so a lot of people might not know this, but whenever I'm not properly able to say what is in my head or my spirit, I reach out to Dr. Dana and also Max Miller and you basically just share with them. And it's always amazing. They not only know how to basically get my Hollisisms out there, but they build my confidence and belief by saying, oh, by the way, that's backed out of this book or backed out of this verse or backed out of this. You know what I mean? You're not being sacrilegious. You're not being somebody that's just making up something to start a cult. You know what I mean? It's like, no, this is grounded. This is really grounded. So it's always fun to have my Hollisisms, backed by wisdom. You know what I mean? Backed by, other philosophies and stuff like that. So Dana, I always love you wrapping a bow on stuff. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know.
Well, one more thing, if you can give me another minute here.
Oh, yes. I apologize. I thought you were done.
Oh, no. I just had one more thing here, and it was the idea in this book. He says, "See the truth," and that's a kind of a confusing thing, and it has some people look at truth as different than others, and it's like, what the heck is he talking about? Well, it's an interpretation thing that each of us can put on top of it. But in the context, perhaps, of these two chapters, the will and some of the allied chapters that have been and will follow, seeing the truth is creatively seeing how to bring about the truth in others. In other words, the truth is what elevates people from where they are to where they desire to be, that authentic life where they are independent or not subject to the compliance to those who want to manipulate them. But the truth is what is possible to elevate people. So when you look at this poverty, the truth is that they have access to riches. So the creative plane is, how can I get them there and see the truth of the possibility of elevating people? It's like disease. The truth is health is possible. And final bit of input here. We as entrepreneurs, I have a definition of an entrepreneur that essentially says we as humans, leave the entrepreneur part out of it. We as humans have an obligation to observe the needs of others and then be the conduit of connecting those people with a means of fulfilling their need. Now, in that process, we are rewarded. We are rewarded either financially, as in business, or we are rewarded by becoming a greater version of ourselves, by having more experience and wisdom and achieving more inner peace for having been a real human. Now, if the world would think that way, like Wallace Wattles basically was, then, I think that would change the world in a big way. So we can all do that. And if we can influence one person, they can influence one or two or three or four. Then pretty soon, we get away from this current paradigm where there's a trend towards complacency, entitlement, and reliance, not having the inner strength or the inner philosophies to move beyond the desire to have somebody else take care of you.
Right.
Well, and that said, I'm going to share a couple of books and then I'm ringing off here.
Wait, you can't share a couple of books when it says in this chapter not to do that.
Yeah, I know, but there's a reason for this. One of the reasons I want to share this, I read this book, we all read this book when we study it, but we get bored, right? But if you're going to be distracted, if you are going to...
Here we go. I love that.
If you're going, here's an interesting one, Napoleon Hill again. These are books that are recent publications from the foundation. What they're doing is they're going back and digging up old stuff out of his desk drawers.
Yeah.
And they're publishing them. Well, here's one. It's Poems That Inspire.
Poems?
Now, these are poems that Napoleon Hill wrote in explaining his ideas and his philosophies and his lessons.
That's interesting.
So you can take one of these a day or a week and noodle on it. You read it, you noodle on it. Oddly enough, because Think and Grow Rich really came out of the science of getting rich. I mean, I say that because he interviewed 500 people, and those people were at a time in their lives where they had probably all read the science of getting rich. And so their philosophies and ideas were already an extension of Wattles' teachings. So that's why Think and Grow Rich echoes so loudly with the science of getting rich, because very likely the people he interviewed had as their core philosophy that. And here's another one. I mentioned the other day, Outwitting the Devil, right?
Right.
So, and I really recommend listening to the audio on that. It's a lot more entertaining. But here's another book that came out of the foundation, and this is The Cycle of Thought. Now, what this is are daily studies. Oops, there we go. Day 1 through day 365. And it's got a lot of the Outwitting the Devil in it. In other words, it'll take something, and it's an upside down book. What I mean by that is you have day 74 here, which is positive. Whoop, you flip it over and there's day 74 here. Oops, you can't see it.
So you read all the positive ones going one way and then all the negative ones going the other way.
Well, or you just read it the same day and flip it over. Like, for example, I teach people to become.
Well, that might be smarter. I'd read the negative one first.
Yeah. Well, and you can do that. You can flip it over and read that. Yeah. But here, for example, is the devil. I teach people to become drifters by causing them to drift out of school into the first job they can find with no definite aim or purpose except to make a living. Okay, now flip it over. Decide what kind of person you want to be and develop positive traits by emulating others you admire. Robert, replace bad habits with good ones and focus your mind on positive thoughts. So it's an interesting book. And the only reason I mention it is because if you're like me, you get into something deeply and then you start getting distracted because you're a little bit bored with it. I distract myself with something that does the same thing, only differently, and then I come back. So
Good point. Like poems. That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Robert.
No, thank you. And I'll close this out by saying this. This scripture came to me, and I don't know how much clearer it could be. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So when people say that I'm scared and I'm fear, it's like, okay, that I'm aware that you are, but do you know that's coming from the wrong side? The reason that people resonate with movies like Star Wars or Field of Dreams or any other hero's journey is because there's a villain. There's Darth Vader. And, these very intelligent people don't know how to share a part of story that every time you step out and you want to become more aware, you want to follow your heart and your spirit, man, the Darth Vaders are coming. You know what I mean? And again, like we've been talking in this series, if you're aware, they come immediately. So I think that's really interesting because they're telling us when they're going to attack us immediately. So when you're on the right path and all of a sudden you feel good and you're on the right path and now you don't feel good, just remember God or the universe is saying, I told you to prepare for this, and now you're acting surprised. Why are you acting surprised? Like, oh my God, this is an incredible Zoom. Oh my God, this is great. And then you get up and people are like, why haven't you done this? Woo! Man, it's like, do you realize that if you're raising your vibration, you're raising your frequency, you're raising your energy, you're causing havoc in the universe. And so the opposite powers need to take your feet out from underneath you. But they can't if you know the punch is coming. It's like, no, see, it's like, yeah. So when you're up and you get off of these and you know that you're up, just be aware. Awareness is just, all right, I'm not going to let it happen. Right. I'm not going to let it happen. And the best defense in the world, other than rebuking the negative, is rejoicing. All right. So now all of a sudden you get, they tried to swing at you and you ducked it and you go, man, I'm getting better. I'm getting better every day in every way of recognizing this negative energy. And I'm like, for lack of reasons, you're like Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? You're like, nice try. Nice try. And when I was in this mode, and Katie is not on here, but when I was in this mode and started figuring it out, and also realizing, listen closely, that it wasn't my job to convince other people of my new beliefs. You want to get your legs swept out from underneath you? Find the most negative person you know and go tell them the good news. You know what I know? And it's like, oh my God, these people will even have research on it. So the next thing you go and you're all excited to a family member or girlfriend or boyfriend, then all of a sudden you see a call on your phone and you're like, well, who is this? Hang on. Hello? Yeah. Hey, this is Pastor Mike. Pastor Mike? Yeah. There's a lot of people at the church that are worried about you. Feel like you're going, oh my God. Now all the people that I'm hanging around with that I thought I was keeping this a secret for, now Pastor Mike's on my butt. I'm telling you guys, every string that they can pull to pop your balloon. You get on these things, you read this book, it fills you up, it edifies you, it fills you up. And now you're like a string on a helium balloon, right? And there's people jumping up and down trying to poke it. It's like it's trying to blow it up. You just go, nah. There's nothing that will upset a person more than laughter. It's like, hey, I'll tell you guys a quick story. I just remember it. There was a time in my life where my family did an intervention on me, you guys. An intervention on me for being an entrepreneur. Think about that. It wasn't drugs or alcohol. So my John, here's what they did. They set me all down. Rick, my closest cousin, says, Bobby, we would like to have a conversation with you. And I said, hey, go ahead. And they go, we all think that you're sort of living above your means. I said, really? And they go, yeah. Didn't you just get back from like Asia or something? Yeah. Who in their right mind would honestly go to Asia? Who are you listening to? It was awesome. And then I heard that you were in like Europe and then you were like in South America. You were in Peru, Ecuador, Colombia. Yeah. Robert, listen. We just think you're living way beyond your means. And I just went, well, I know you guys are doing this because of love. Are you saving money? And, are you doing the right things? Are you around your family? Well, 50% of the time I take my family with me. When I went to Dominican Republic and I take my family with me. And all of a sudden Rick goes, yeah, but you're always driving brand new cars. You're always living in these big places. You know what I mean? And we just think you're living maybe beyond your means. What if this all falls? And I said, well, let's talk about that. And they go, okay. I said, so my income stops tomorrow. Let's say the government says you can't be an entrepreneur no more. That's done. That's over. I said, based on what I know right now in my current living, I probably could make it at least another 3 years. But now the 3 years are up, so I'm going to have to sell my homes. I'm going to have to turn the cars back on the leases. I guess I would find affordable housing because I would have to get a job and live paycheck to paycheck and be renting a place and have a used car. So are you guys trying to tell me the worst thing that could happen to me is I'd be you guys? That was a fun day. Now, that went over like a lead balloon because I've been doing this funny thing with my wife since I met her. Not what you guys think, right? But people would always come to my wife all the time and they go, well, what are you doing? What are you doing now? And she said, Robert and I had this discussion before we got married. I take care of him and our children. That's what I do. I'm a domestic goddess. Yeah, but how about your own money? Oh, Robert pays me. He thinks that I do a lot, so he pays me. And they go, pays you? What does he pay me? I think last year was like 460,000. They go, no. I mean, real income. She goes, I get W-2'd. Robert's accountant sends me a W-2. We file taxes. Plus, he's got 2 different multi-million-dollar life insurances on him. He also has insurance on the house that if something happened, the house would be paid off. And he also has that on the vehicles. So if something happened to my husband, I not only have legacy on the distributorship, but I'm the one that gets paid. He put everything in my name. Why? What does your husband pay you? Oh, again, that doesn't go over well, right? So I tell people, they say, hey, what do you do? So you guys will get confidence as you learn to do this. I'm that guy, I'm that gal. But you also get the confidence in another realm. People go, Robert, you know, how much do you make? I don't make anything. I'm a house husband. My job is just to take care of my wife. No, but how much do you pay yourself? The only asset I own is my fat boy Harley. That's something that I wanted. And they go, but I thought you had a Tesla. No, that's Terry's. But I thought you had a new Escalade. No, that's Terry's. Don't you have multiple homes? Those are Terry's. I don't need material stuff. She likes material stuff. So you guys hear that I'm not money motivated. My wife is money motivated. So I hope this helped you guys a little bit. It's like, man, I'm being brutally honest with you guys. I keep seeing session after session that we do, and I have one of those Dinos in my mind. I don't know if you guys have them. And my mind goes, yesterday we taught about the will. Today is the further use of the will. How is this one going to be better than the last one? Because I didn't think the will could be better than the certain way, and I didn't think the certain way could be better. Are you guys getting the same thing? It's like not only did Dr. Dana talk about the progression of this, but picking up momentum, but I think that everyone here is starting to raise their level of awareness and belief and confidence, you know? And so when you can really trust yourself and believe that the journey is worth it, and more than the journey is worth it, don't forget that God's not a discerner of person. I don't care if you don't believe in him or it. It won't bless Robert and bless Bob Proctor and bless Rhonda Byrne and bless Rebecca Fine. It won't bless these people and not bless you. You study it like it's part of you. All of us can sing a song. We can sing the happy birthday song. We can sing the Star Spangled Banner. A lot of you got songs that you know by memory. What if you know this book like that? Because when you know this book like that, now people reach up and say, well, what about this? And you can just really nicely say, well, you're honestly talking from a competitive plane instead of a creative plane. Because the wealthy that are not on the creative plane, they always believe that they got us until they don't. Right? So computers started leveling the playing field. The internet started leveling the playing field. People are scared of AI. I'm jacked out of my mind for AI. It's like, hey, How did Elon Musk make all that money? Hey, I'll tell you exactly how he did it. I know step by step how he did it. Okay, what's the first step? He fell in love with programming. And since he fell in love with programming, he did programming all day, every day. And he learned from people that were better than him. His brother. Then after learning how to do programming, he thought it would be cool if people could actually do transactions online. There is this thing called the internet. So he made one company and sold it. And so him and his brother created another company called PayPal. And then sold it, used that money to do Tesla and SpaceX. So now you guys know the secret behind Elon Musk. Find something that you're excited about, fall in love with it, so work is no longer work or hard. It's fun. Because what I'm going to be able to do when I learn programming, see, is like if I become a programmer, the world is mine. And wow, that came true. So love and appreciate each and every one of you. Wow, this was an incredible session. Craig, back to you.
I agree. This is just awesome. And everyone, thank you so much for being here and participating. I got to let our participants know, thank you so much. Bill Shoemaker, Katie Sanders, Angela Castleman, John Tier, Dana Scranton. Of course, thank you to Matthew Hollis for our foundation here in helping to put this together. And of course, thank you for watching. Bless you, Robert. Thank you for guiding us on this journey of mastering the science of getting rich. Tomorrow, we're going to go into another part of this. Okay, we talk about the daydream. We talk about doing things in the certain way. Chapter 11 tomorrow is acting in the certain way. Step by step by step. For those of you that want to save the chat here in the Zoom, it's very, very simple to do. Just put your cursor at the bottom of the screen, or excuse me, put your cursor to the right of the 2 in the chat. There's 3 dots there. Click on those 3 dots, then click on Save Chat. At the end of this session, the chat will download to your computer, so you've got all of the stuff that we've shared. For those of you watching on YouTube, thank you so much. It's already there. It'll be in the chat when it replays. And if you're watching on YouTube, once again, please like and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate you. We love you. And also share this so that other people can get this great knowledge of mastering the science of getting rich with Robert Hollis. Until next time, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, if you're going to watch us live, please be good to yourselves. Be cash. Bye-bye. I'm going to unmute everyone as we say so long.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, everybody. Love you all. See you next
Thank you, Bill, Mary, Randy, thank you very much.
Hi, Melody.
Michael,
Mary,
Carmen,
Lisa,
John, James,
Jerome.
Melody, John, Danielle, Dustin. Dustin, are you laying on the floor? Okay, Angel. Thanks, Matthew, Melody. I love you guys. Bye-bye.